Hey everyone, I'm Sly, and I'm here with D, and today we're going to talk about Jake Paul and his potential opponents. Now there's a few guys out there, D. If you were the betting man, who would you pick? Who do you think is going to be his next opponent?
Man, it's so hard to decide, but if I was a betting man and I had to pick, I would say Chavez Jr.
Ooh.
And I'll kind of go through the rundown of the possible opponents.
Okay.
But the first one I'm going to name, and I'm going to get out of the way because I don't think it'll ever happen. There's a gentleman from the UK, and his name's Viddal Riley. If those of you who don't know who he is, he's KSI's former trainer. He's very well known in the YouTube boxing. He comments, makes videos a lot about boxers, and he's only 24 years old. And he fights. He was on the undercard of Khan and Brook. So if you guys want to like search him and like check out his last fight, he just fought over the weekend. He's making a comeback after 2 years off. He stopped fighting because of the whole COVID. But I don't think he fights Jake Paul just because out of everybody, he has the most experience. This guy was like amateur boxing since he was about 12 years old. Jake Paul's going to need someone around his level. Jake Paul's only been boxing for about 2 years, and I don't see him going against somebody who's been boxing his whole career. So that's the first one. I don't think that fight happens. Another one that people are talking about is Chavez Jr.
Yes.
So here's the issue with Jake Paul about his opponents, and that what it kind of triggers me. People say, fight a boxer, fight a boxer. Okay, here's the issue with that though. You guys don't name a boxer, you know? And so when he calls out someone like Chavez Jr., people are just like, oh gosh, not this guy. Well, because you guys aren't naming anybody. And that's the one thing about boxing that they need to get better at is promoting fighters, promoting the young fighters, where I will give it to the UFC. They only have one champion. They're very good at promoting fighters. But Chavez is a very realistic fight. He had just lost to an MMA fighter.
Embarrassed the sport of boxing.
Yeah, he embarrassed the sport of boxing. I couldn't believe he freaking lost. And this guy was just like, once he said that, once he beats Anderson Silva and he would get a shot at Canelo, I knew this guy was not training hard at all. But that's more a realistic fight just because Chavez doesn't take it. He's a spoiled brat, man. He's a millionaire kid who got spoon-fed, and he doesn't train hard. He doesn't want the glory as far as like being a world champion. He doesn't care about that, man. He's over there eating In-N-Out on his spare time.
Yeah.
And so I see that being a more realistic fight because he'll have a big payday, and then he won't have to train hard, and it doesn't really matter if he wins or loses because like he's going to get paid no matter what.
Yeah.
And then thirdly, I'll let you talk about it more. Tommy the Boy Fury.
Yeah, man. And honestly, that's if I was a betting man, I would say it would be Tommy Fury. These guys were supposed to fight already, but you know, we all know what happened to Tommy Fury. He got hurt, and I mean, people are blaming Tommy Fury for what happened, but it happens. It's boxing. People always get hurt. And I mean, Jake Paul, really, he's not going to hold it against him, man. I mean, this is a big fight in the UK. It really is. Even though he's not like a big name over here in America, this is in the UK, everyone's talking about it. And this would be a big fight. And finally, this is his first step, fighting a boxer, you know, an actual boxer. So, I mean, it would give Jake Paul more credibility. And it just makes sense, man. This was supposed to happen already. Instead, he fought, we fought the Woodley.
Rematch.
The rematch. And then go back to what you were originally going to do. He got a little better from that fight. So now you're more ready. You're more prepared. So, I mean, it just makes sense to me to fight.
It also makes more sense, too, because now he's doing promotion for the Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano women fight, April 30th. And who's he working with? He was working with Eddie Hearn.
Yeah.
And who does Eddie Hearn promote? He promotes all the UK fighters. And so if he gets DAZN behind them and working with Showtime, and then they have all the UK fans, like I could really like see it like being like a big like seller. Just that the only thing I just see it like stopping is just egos. Just Jake Paul just being salty about the whole pulling out, which I completely understand, man. Like if you're gonna fight somebody, you gotta also like market yourself. I know a lot of people hate fighters like Jake Paul, Ryan Garcia, but what these guys do and which is very smart, is they know how to market themselves. They know how to like talk with the celebrities, how engage with them, how to engage on social media. And that's why they freaking sell out arenas, because they know how to freaking market themselves as a good boxer, regardless of the freaking record, you know? And, that's one thing that Tommy needs to learn. He's got a huge followers. Yeah, I believe 4 million, which is very good.
Yeah.
But now he just needs to more like engage in the boxing. Because a lot of those followers are from MTV, because he did like a love show. And so he needs to now show people, hey, I'm a boxer. He needs to promote himself. He needs to market himself, not let his dad talk, not let his brother talk. He needs to talk. He needs to be in the interviews.
And the dad and the brother, man, they really know how to talk.
Yeah.
They are showmen.
If it wasn't for them, it would have been like a boring like press conference. If it wasn't for them, like the fight would have like been boring.
Well, if it wasn't for them, no one would have known who Tommy Fury
no one
is.
knows.
Yeah, Jake Paul did that for him. He started from the ground up on his own, pretty much.
Yeah, so that's I would say either Tommy or Chavez are the more realistic fights. I don't think Vidal is a realistic fight. I don't even think Anderson Silva, you know, just to name another opponent.
I think it's a more dangerous fight.
It is more dangerous, yeah.
Chavez.
And then you're going down that road too, because one, it's a dangerous fight because Anderson knows how to fight. Two, he's going down that route of he did so much to get out of that YouTube. You know, like the spotlight of fighting YouTubers, that he went to fighting now mixed martial artist, and now he's trying to go into that transition to fight a boxer. But if he fights Anderson Silva, he'll be stuck in that label, just fighting MMA fighters. And because after that, then he's gonna like maybe fight Masvidal and Nate Diaz. Who knows? You know, stick with the boxing.
Stick with the boxing, and man, I just gotta say, man, like. Chavez Jr., if Jake Paul wins, man, he's going to get a lot of credit because he'd be a former champion.
Yeah.
But the problem is with boxing, man, there's so many damn bouts out there that a guy like Chavez Jr. should have never been champion. And he was a former champion. That's what's wrong with boxing. It's like a Wild Wild West. All these damn weight divisions, all these damn champions. This guy should have never been champion. And now if Jake Paul wins, he could say, I beat a freaking former champion. Let's go. So, I mean...
Yeah, he already said with Woodley he beat a Hall of Famer. Now he can say he beat a boxing champion.
Jeez, man. So I don't know, guys. It should be. Well, go ahead.
No, and I was gonna say like. Also, these are all just fights for him to like build up his resume too. So at the end of the day, like I think Chavez is a little bit easier fight than Tommy, just because Chavez doesn't take it as serious. And Tommy's the younger fighter, and he wants to build a name. He wants to be just like his brother.
Yeah.
And so these are all like. I don't want to say how you would say like they're not all like strategic as far as like he's picking his opponents because he knows it's a for sure win, but it's like even playing field to like where he knows that if he wins, he can still build up that ladder. You know, and that's the goal, because his goal is like, I think it's crazy, but he wants to fight against Canelo.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
which he would get knocked out, but he would get a big ass payday, and I would do the same thing.
I would do the same thing. Yeah. If it was for freaking like millions of dollars, hell yeah.
Yeah, I'll get knocked out by Canelo every day of the week. All right, guys. Let us know what you guys think. Who do you want to see Jake Paul fight next? It's going to be fun, man. I love boxing, baby. See you next time. Peace.